The last time these men will be joined in song by 80,000 voices at Croke Park, and they want and demand a trophy to say farewell. The first two legs of that possible triple crown have been completed over the last 2 weekends of the championship, and Irish coach Declan Kidney has chosen the same starting 15 that he selected for the wins over England at Twickenham and against Wales here last weekend. A big test should come in the scrum for the props of very different experience. 22-year-old Cian Healy and 36-year-old John Hayes. Paul O'Connell wins his 70th cap at lock. Can Ireland's backline continue with its impressive try rate? 2 apiece for Tomás O'Leary and Tommy Bowe in this championship, 3 for wing Keith Earls. In the last 2 games, Gordon Darcy has recovered from a knee injury in the centre. Like Ireland, Scotland are unchanged from last weekend. The concern was over blindside flanker Kelly Brown after his collision with Ugo Monye, but he's been past fit to take his place in that impressive back row. Scotland, though, still looking for the spark for this back line. Often the liveliest. Max Evans again starts on the left wing. Nick DeLuca has to mark Brian O'Driscoll and try and offer his own threat as well. And on the bench, Ireland might lack experience in front row cover, but O'Gara and Carney will certainly not weaken the back line. For Scotland, 20-year-old lock Richie Gray is in for the injured Nathan Hines. And the referee today, the vastly experienced Jonathan Kaplan, another South African. That's 3 in a row for Ireland. Interesting, Philip Matthews, how he refs things today.
Absolutely, and particularly the breakdown. Ireland did not fare well last week against Wales. They're going to have to put that right, and that might be where Scotland might seek to gain an edge. Andy Robinson mentioned the breakdown. If they can play Jonathan Kaplan better at the breakdown, they might just get an edge with loose ball.
83,000 cheer once more at Croke Park for this, the penultimate game in this RBS Six Nations, but the final game at Croke Park of a rugby nature. Ireland with the first chance to come through. David Wallace. And carried on by Cian Healy, with O'Connell in support. And Ireland attacking from the off. Darcy, and out there coming in is Jordan Murphy. He rides the tackles for a while. Wallace on the crash ball. As it comes, and Ireland again attacking, and Keith Earls tries to take that pass from Tommy Bowe, just evades his grasp, but all the early attack from Ireland.
Yes, well, you'd have thought that was a second half start from Ireland, because they've just started clinically. David Wallace very, very prominent. Tommy Bowe again taking those lines off from his own wing, and just that pass not going to hand. Keith Earls could have been a try there.
Now these are the best 2 line-out sides in the championship. Scotland have only lost 2 of 46. Ireland with 3 from 32 going astray. But both will try and challenge. Well, that one is lost only from the knock-on from Chris Cussiter.
Yeah, well, this is a real key area for Scotland to focus on today, and Andy Robinson will be very, very clear that Irish lineouts anywhere near the Scottish 22 are going to have to be on high alert, because Ireland have gained a significant number of their points, their 5-pointers, their 7-pointers from lineouts in that area.
And Chris Cussiter, captain, down with a knock. Mike Blair is on the bench. And Dr. James Robson of Scotland and Lions, standing for many years, is quickly on.
Well, again, Ireland really challenging in the end. They're not really able to put much pressure on that line, and that was just probably a poor tap from Scotland.
I'm not sure if that's what's bothering him now, but he had some of the worst grazing I've ever seen on a knee. I know rugby players don't usually complain of a grazed knee, but massive scabs all over his knee from the sandy pitch at Murrayfield last week, but Cussiter seems to be fine.
Go scrum. Green. Don't step out.
So Ireland's scrum from that Cussiter knock-on, and the noise will grow inside Croke Park.
Crouch.
This is an area where Scotland might expect to have at least parity, perhaps better. That's a good solid scrum from Ireland. And Sexton finds O'Driscoll, and on the loop Sexton again, and then space appears, but the ball is loose and scooped up quickly by DeLuca. Scotland with their first chance, and a familiar sight. Dan Parks sees the space, and A decent thump in there and the ball wandering towards touch. Well, it's better than decent from Dan Parks. What a kick that is from the Australian-born fly half.
No, yet again Ireland threatening to cut open the Scottish defence very early on, but that last pass just not going to hand. And that's exactly what Dan Parks needed to do. He wants to get territory, start to get some pressure on Ireland.
Your priority is to listen to me. Don't worry about everything else. When I say step, move over.
Just at its very last, it's hobbled out, and this line out now, huge pressure on the throw of Rory Best. Comfortably gathered at the back by Stephen Ferris.
He's okay.
Well, that's good variation, because they haven't really looked to Ferris so far in this championship. They've thought about the line out Ireland.
It's Rory Best holding it at the back for Ireland. And back to Sexton, his kick half charge down, anybody's to claim now, but into the hands of Keith Earls, and Ireland may come. Rory Best spills it.
Oh, again a spill. Are Ireland a little bit over anxious? They're not showing quite the same composure early doors. I mean, they're going about the job in the right way. Just a little bit of lack of concentration there. Keith Earls put onside by the charge down.
So now Scotland scrum 15 metres from the Irish try line.
Head and shoulders up. Crouch. Touch. Pause. Go. At the back, too early.
Well, free kick too early. Going down from Ireland. Scotland have their attack in midfield.
Roll 9.
Cussiter and Parks into Rossford. Big beast of a hooker buys another couple of metres. Scotland have the penalty coming. The advantage is there. Graham Morrison spins through a tackle and still wanders on up to within 6 metres. Scotland desperate to get that final move, the final cutting edge that might bring a try. The advantage still theirs. Parks again, and John Barclay smothered. No advantage, back for the Scottish penalty. And Paul O'Connell is the man penalised.
Well, Jonathan Kaplan setting his stall out fairly early on, pinging Paul O'Connell for not rolling away. No, this is something that Ireland were guilty of last week against Wales as well, so they now see that they're going to need to play that with Jonathan Kaplan. They're going to have to be on guard, because any time that Scotland do get pressure, they will look to take these 3-point opportunities and get the scoreboard ticking over.
Well, Dan Parks surely will, and surely does. In the last game at Croke Park, the first points to Scotland. 5 minutes gone. Scotland 3-0 in front.
Yeah, a little bit against the run of play, you might say. Ireland creating a couple of try-scoring opportunities but failing to convert them. This is the penalty. Now, as Paul O'Connell goes down, he needs to let go first, make a deliberate effort to let go and then re-engage.
Long restart from Sexton.
And roll 6.
Scotland just try and muscle their way out of the 22.
Wait, yeah, don't go. Okay.
Dan Parks finds a good touch on that far side.
No, key area for Ireland. They'll attack from this if they can, and Scotland will know that. This is an area they need to be on high alert. They've really got to get men in the air against this Irish line-out.
Hold there, hold! Yes.
It's taken safely. Oh, and through goes Tommy Bowe again. So dangerous, so lively. And Ireland come at pace again. Gordon Darcy just shovels his way forward.
Leave it now, leave it, 12!
Sexton again looking and finding David Wallace.
Push back, push back.
And he wheels through a tackle or two. Keith Earls coming in at pace and breaking, half-breaking. Paul O'Connell on his shoulder. And Ireland coming now strongly. And Sexton and Jordan Murphy there, but the ball spilled. Well, spilled again at a crucial time for Ireland, but the build-up play promises much more to come.
Yes, well, it was Keith Earl. Look at that late run. It's just so difficult to pick that up, because everybody would have been watching Paul O'Connell there. Earls takes it so late, gets beyond the gain line. O'Connell again offloads well, but ball just not sticking. That's danger for Scotland. They're on warning now. They really need to defend, and what they need to do is not defend in their own half. They need to play more of the game in Irish territory.
Ireland making errors, but making chances.
Touch, pause,
That scrum thought about working for a moment. Again, a free kick to Scotland.
Hold the hit.
Well, that will disrupt Ireland's phases in possession if they can't rely on getting scrum ball or giving away penalties. That's the second scrum, second penalty to Scotland.
And Parks doesn't find touch. A free kick, of course, though, but he was looking for touch. This time calls for the mark and quickly sets it to Hugo Southwell. And Southwell, with that accurate left boot, will take Scotland back into the Ireland half.
No, that's good play by Hugo Southwell. Kick had to be perfect to evade Tommy Bowe, but they'll want to play lineouts because they'll want to give their lineout a chance to try and get on top of this Irish lineout. So Scotland will be happy enough to look for lineouts, certainly in the first 20-30 minutes, and see how much pressure they can exert on Rory Brest's throw.
Well, both sides will be challenged and under pressure on their own line-out throws, possibly never before in this championship. Shortened line-out for Ireland, easily taken by Donk O'Callaghan. And again, a lovely little move brings space for the Irish backs. Jordan Murphy, smothered by Nick DeLuca. Donk O'Callaghan. Down the blind side they come again, but still finding inches of space. Keith Earls. And Jordan Murphy, good hands to David Wallace. Power and pace, but just into touch.
Oh, it looks like Ireland have really decided that they're going to give this, as you used to say in the 80s, a real lash. David Wallace cropping up all over the place. They're really using him like an extra three-quarter. It's as if they've got 8 backs against 7 at the moment, and he's just couldn't hold his foot out of touch there.
Come in, please. In further.
Toe skidding on the touchline. Scotland's line-out has to fire, challenged and challenged well by Ireland. Rory Best comes round with it. So Ireland another chance to attack, and once more David Wallace doing some carrying work. Sexton and on to Darcy, and again Sexton in the loop, and Sexton is through, cutting through that Scottish defence, and Gordon Darcy, and O'Driscoll has the ball, and Brian O'Driscoll, his first try in this Six Nations, and Ireland have threatened, and now they have delivered.
Well, that was on the cards. Ireland are really packing those spaces at the moment. Jonathan Sexton on the loop, watch it, it's good quick ball. Jonathan Sexton creates the extra man himself by looping around, and there's just too many Irish attackers for Scotland to defend against, and the inside support run from Brian O'Driscoll, excellent. Ireland have used that so well this year, that quick ball back inside, changing the points of attack, really difficult to defend against.
Well, many others have scored for Ireland in this championship. Tomas O'Leary and Tommy Bowe and Keith Earls and Brian O'Driscoll in the final game. Gets another try for his vast collection, number 39 now in an Irish jersey. And gives Jonathan Sexton a chance to turn 5 points into 7. Well, Sexton's kicking has sometimes been wayward in this Six Nations, but he's off and running here with the extra 2 points after this try.
Yeah, well, it was simple enough for Brian O'Driscoll, but the key to it was he took that inside line. You don't take those inside lines unless you know that that's something that Jonathan Sexton is going to be looking for, and Jonathan Sexton has employed that really well this year.
Well, what a pace Ireland have started this game at. How can Scotland respond? Max Evans firing in on that ball, but into touch.
Well, it all came from a lost line-out, so Scotland need to exert some pressure here. Ireland have shown great variation in their line-out so far, and they've done it again. They've cut it to 5.
Jim Hamilton this time swats it back for Scotland, but Donald O'Callaghan is on the loose ball, hacking it on. Max Evans now under pressure, finds Hugo Southwell. Huge pass to Sean Lamont.
7 roll!
Parks again, over the head of Keith Earls. Perhaps a little bit too long. Touchdown comfortably by Jordan Murphy. Back for the 22 they will come.
Well, this young man's got the confidence to consider anything at this stage. There's the try again. Jonathan Sexton has played a key role in the high try-scoring rate of this Irish side this year, there's no question.
Well, Ireland have taken the restart after it went loose. That ball looked to have been just tapped forward, Scotland's advantage, but Scotland's ball anyway. Kelly Brown is tap tackle, Graham Morrison, Gordon Darcy upon him, support is there, and Scotland up to within metres of the line and over, and the try is scored. And celebrations for a Scottish try, and Johnny Beattie, who has been a real star for Scotland in this Six Nations, moves Scotland in front.
Well, Ireland will look to this and probably think that they only have themselves to blame. There's a little bit too, as they say, too much rugby trying to be played there. First Cian Healy, and then Stephen Ferris. Well deserved though, Johnny Beattie putting himself in the place. And there's the 3 Bs combining pretty well to make that try for Scotland. He was never going to be caught. He evades the challenge of Jordan Murphy. He was a little bit high. Good strength and stretched his full 6'4".
Well, a hugely powerful runner, Johnny Beattie, and a try that his father, a player of similar vein, would be very proud of. John Beattie of Scotland and the Lions. Well, 2 tries in 15 minutes in this match. Dan Parks from the very fringes of the pitch with this most difficult conversion attempt. He is a right footer. That slightly favours him. A respectful hush at Croke Park, but just drifting wide from Dan Parks. Scotland's lead remains just a single point, and listen to the crowd as they urge Ireland to hit back.
Oh, that's a kick again, and whilst it's entertaining rugby and the crowd will want to see a little bit of that from an Irish perspective, they're probably going to want to be a little bit more judicious of when they keep that ball alive. In danger of just getting a little bit too far ahead of themselves. Game's not won yet.
Eventually comes back to Scottish hands. Kelly Brown trying to hack it free. Ross Ford shores it up for Cussiter. Southwell comes into the fly-half position, long, rather loose pass to Morrison. Steps round one though, and Graham Morrison looks for support. Only Alan Jacobson is there, and eventually the prop gathers it up.
Hold it.
Comes Scotland again through DeLuca and onto Lamont, and the passes looked to have been spilled, and indeed an Irish scrum, but both sides have clearly come to play a bit of rugby today.
Yes, I think both sides recognise that that's the only way they're going to win this game. I don't think Scotland feel that playing territory and getting 3 points. They know Ireland are going to score tries, so I think Andy Robinson said it, Stolett. He knows that Scotland need to score tries, and at some stage Scotland need to start converting the chances they've been making, and this is the time to do it. They've nothing to lose. You may as well start here.
Get your shoulder out. Meet him square. Crouch. Touch. Pause.
Down it goes again.
Come through to me. Come through to me.
Well, Cian Healy looked like he might have been the first man to ground there, but Jonathan Captain's given them another go.
Meet him square, please.
Still a very young man, Cian Healy. Sadly,
Crouch.
in prop terms, sort of like dog years. He's just 22. He's gaining experience all the time. Down it goes again. Penalty to Scotland this time.
Yeah, this is an area that Scotland has definitely been confident about getting an edge. Ewan Murray comes with a big reputation, and so far it's 1 or 2 up to Ewan Murray versus Cian Healy.
Parks doesn't bite off too much with that kick. But it's Scotland's line out.
Come in.
Again, Ireland may well contest this one ferociously.
Right there.
Safely taken by Kellogg. Parks again, this time Morrison just bounces off the tackle from Sexton. And Parks juggles with it. Alan Jacobson. He spills in the tackle. John Hayes. And now Sexton and Jordan Murphy. Oh, and slick hands from Brian O'Driscoll. Keith Earls now. And looking for the return, Jordan Murphy. Ireland's ball. Ireland's advantage from that Scottish knock-on. It's breathless stuff.
It's like ends of season 7s, isn't it? I mean, they're really trying to keep the ball alive there. And the more it goes like that, you'd say that, well, the more of those 50-50 balls. Keith Earls tries to keep that open, tries to keep it alive. Now, that maybe was the pass that wasn't on, but Jordan Murphy probably felt there wasn't much support for him there.
Irish player down, injured. So midway through this first half, in this final game of rugby union at Croke Park, and Scotland lead by a single point, but the threat from Ireland has been clear throughout. And it's Healy who's down.
Test. That's good.
And back up, Andy Robinson watches on.
I think he'll be happy enough for the start. It's important for Scotland to strike back and get that score when they did. That'll have done their confidence a lot of good. And they're right in this.
Keep your elbow up, he won't run around you. Keep your elbow up.
Well, this is the area of concern for Ireland.
Cross. Touch. Pause. Go.
Slightly more solid from Ireland, picked up at the back by Jamie Heaslip and shrugged off a tackle. Sexton again, and this time it's a loose pass, and Nick DeLuca hearing through on it, but scooped up gratefully by Ireland.
Hold on!
Back deep inside their own half now. Tomas O'Leary setting his back line on either side before the little box kick from the scrum half himself. Taken by Southwell, but takes the hit from Tommy Bowe. Counter up from Scotland just secures it.
Leave it now, Green!
Cussater snuffles away for it.
Counter up good.
Then Cian Healy comes through in the captain, and Cussater does well. Ireland penalty though, Scotland hanging onto the ball in the tackle.
Well, it was counter-ruck after counter-ruck there. Both sides doing that. Now, Scotland are putting the shooter up in the line and cutting down to what Ireland are really trying to do and putting a lot more pressure on this midfield the way the likes of France would have been able to do earlier on in the tournament. That's something they're going to have to keep doing, because in the early few minutes, Ireland were really cutting Scotland apart. They're going to need to close down those holes.
Just outside perhaps the range of Jonathan Sexton. Goes for touch. Not the most impressive touch, but it will be Ireland's line out.
Yeah, this is a range that Ireland are very, very comfortable and happy to attack from. So this is kind of high alert for Scotland. These are the areas that Scotland really need to be on guard from a defensive perspective.
Again, O'Connell is the man. Again, the loose pass. A few mistakes from Ireland. And Scotland will have that scrum. And for all the promise and attacking flair that Ireland are showing in sections, there are a few mistakes as well.
Yes, the execution, the composure is just not quite there. I just wonder whether they're just a little bit flat.
Don't shift off the mark, please. I'll make the mark for a reason. Don't shift.
Danger of a little bit of complacency,
No,
getting that early score, which was so deserved. But I wonder whether they just relaxed a little bit, taking their foot off the pedal.
Crouch. Touch. Pause. Get. Break up. Step back, please. Yes, both of you. Get closer, please.
At the moment, Scotland are perhaps enjoying these scrums just a little bit more. Jacobson, Ford and Murray up against Cian Healy, Rory Best and John Hayes.
Touch. Pause. Get.
Forearm or two on the ground.
Same
and then
again. Just pressure.
Bodies join them. We'll do it all again.
Get your bind, please.
Well, I never think these situations favour the defending side. The more the scrums go on, the better it gets, I think, for the attacking side, even though as it is a Scottish
up,
scrum.
please. Come in. Crouch. Touch. Pause. Get. Up back.
A more solid scrum, and Beattie feeds Cussiter on to Parks. And again, his route is over the head of Keith Earls to Jordan Murphy. Dangerous man to give ball to. He manages to offload to Brian O'Driscoll.
Ahead. No.
Paul O'Connell. This is Ferris. Sexton and on. Tomas O'Leary. And David Wallace. O'Leary finds Cian Healy. Here come Ireland once again. Tommy Bowe again in the middle of the line, and Brian O'Driscoll skipping over a body or two. Ferris.
It's come through the middle.
Anybody's ball to claim, says the referee. The Scottish body's diving upon it. Back it comes to Hugo Southwell. Lots of space there, and a good touch found and good pressure relieved by Scotland. Let's go down and get the thoughts of an injured Irish player, Luke Fitzgerald. What do you make of it so far, Luke?
It's very interesting, really. Ireland have had a good few opportunities, and they've kind of failed to capitalise. I suppose there's obviously the one exception with Brian getting over with that try, but I suppose they were looking to capitalise and probably hold on to the ball a little bit longer.
Thank you, Luke. A Scottish player down injured. Looks like Kelly Brown. Scotland play on. Ireland have ball. Sean Lamont waits for this one and takes it, then takes the thump from Tommy Bowe into touch, and Ireland creep back into the Scottish half.
No, look, Fitzgerald's made a good point there. On occasion, Ireland do need just to hold on to the ball just that little bit longer. That was a good box kick
15, yes.
by Tomas O'Leary. No, that's great. That's better territory now.
Scotland not yet making the change, but
No time.
Ireland have made a change. Kelly Brown is still looking a bit groggy for Scotland. Alan MacDonald is waiting, but on has come Rob Carney for Ireland, replacing Jordan Murphy. So Jordan Murphy must have a niggle, and indeed MacDonald has come on for Scotland. Kelly Brown is off. He of course had a very bad head knock in a collision with Ugo Monya last week. I don't know if that's a blood injury because James Robson seems to be mopping his face. Scotland, though, have that ball at the back through Barclay on. Another loose pass. Hugo Southwell fires the low one, and too long from Southwell. And Rob Kearney's first duty is to watch that one go dead. And all the way back they will come for Irish ball.
Well, at last, Scotland able to put a bit of pressure on that Irish line-out.
Just to confirm, that is a blood substitution. Alan McDonald on for Kelly Brown.
Well, that kick was well defended in Ireland by Ireland. Hugo Southwell couldn't see the touchline. He couldn't thread through to the touchline. He just put a little bit too much weight on it. No, Ireland need to get a good solid scrum here. Ewan Murray is bound to try and put a bit of pressure again on this near side on Cian Healy.
Yeah, Andrew.
So Ireland with more of the territory, but fewer points at the moment. Scrum just creaking a little bit, but it's at the back for Ireland, and Scotland infringing, and Ireland will have the penalty. This one might be kickable.
You might not touch them.
Yeah, well, they're under a lot of pressure on that left-hand side. Ball was stuck under feet there, and they were having to work so hard to hold their position. They weren't able to free their feet up to heel it back.
Don't touch him.
And Chris Cusser able to put a lot of pressure on. So he's made the tackle there, and he needs to get up and release again. Both sides having a bit of struggling really to work with Kaplan's interpretation.
Well, again, no shot at goal from 45 metres plus, and Ireland with that kick from Johnny Sexton into the Scottish 22, and again trying to put the squeeze on. A try apiece at the moment from Brian O'Driscoll and from Johnny Beattie.
Stay in.
And pinched by Scotland this time, so both these imperious lineouts being challenged today.
Push back.
Dan Parks shapes the kick and then finds Hugo Southwell and uses his powerful left boot, and that's a good ploy and well executed by Scotland.
Well, they gained a lot of yards there, but it was on for Hugo Southwell. He had a 3-2 there. I think he could have held ball in hand, and maybe that's one of the differences between Ireland and Scotland. Look, he had just outside of it Nick DeLuca and acres of space. Ireland, I think, would have kept that in hand and would have made a lot more from it.
The confidence that comes from a winning side in Ireland, and one which has just fallen short a few times in Scotland. This line-out works well through David Wallace for Ireland. Coming in at pace is Darcy, and through Tommy Bowe. Big pressure comes in on O'Leary. Cian Healy, good step from the prop. Like Marcus Horan before him, he's a footballing prop. And Ireland have the penalty again. And I wonder if they might, from this very central position, fancy a shot at goal.
Put the ball down.
Well, again, Jonathan Kaplan saying you weren't supporting your weight. So, in effect, going off your feet at the tackle. Yeah, as it looks like Jonathan Sexton's going to have a pop. I'll do no harm for his confidence. He can stick this one over.
It is interesting, though, the highlight you made there of the fact that Hugo Southwell 3-on-2, and no matter how deep you are, I'm sure that Ireland would have attacked from deep there, but Southwell putting boot on ball. Eventually it comes back to a penalty and a chance for Ireland to move back in front. Near silence for Johnny Sexton, but just pushing it outside the uprights, and Scotland's lead, however slender, remains.
Well, that was well within Jonathan Sexton's range, and a bit of a sign that he's still not striking the ball as he'd like to.
Well, he pushed a few against England and pulled a few against Wales. Ronan O'Gara waits on the bench, but Sexton, a very confident individual, and offers a lot more around the park than just his boot.
Let's go.
Long restart from the 22 from Dan Parks. A bit of confusion, but backwards it went from Tomas O'Leary. Rob Carney on for Jordan Murphy. Comes for a little chip. Taken by Graham Morrison. Takes the tackle from Carney. Hugo Southwell.
Roll 5!
Cussiter looks and finds DeLuca. John Barclay out there. Big double hits coming in from Earls and Associates. Southwell looking, seeing the onrushing Irish defence, and ambles forward himself. Ross Ford. Scotland coming again. Southwell once more. This is Max Evans. Scragged around the collar. Looked to be lost forward. David Wallace competing for it, but Scotland secure it. Barclay feeds Parks. In comes Sean Lamont. Here's Alan McDonald still on as a replacement for Kelly Brown. And does well, makes some ground. Graham Morrison, Sean Lamont bounces off one, and now there's space. John Barclay charging forward. Max Evans outside, inside Nick DeLuca. Forwards pile in to secure that ball. Parks once more, and Ross Ford again asked to carry, which he does. And Scotland creeping towards that try line. Hugo Southwell looks. And now Ireland competing ferociously for that ball. Scotland, though, will have the ball. Irish knock on. Scottish scrum. A lot of good things being done by Scotland in attack.
Well, that particular piece of play, Scotland were winning the contact. They were half breaking a couple of tackles there, which is allowing them to consistently get beyond the game line. Even though the ball wasn't that quick, in the contacts they were a lot stronger. Ireland backing off a little bit. They need to be a lot more assertive in the tackle. There, really good example where Ferris didn't win the contact there. That enabled the attack to maintain its momentum. More contact there. The ball's not particularly quick. Ireland looked like they might have snuffed it out. But again, Scotland are able to keep the momentum going. Again, look at that. Not winning the contact there. Rory Best retreating, giving a couple of yards. They need to start knocking Scotland back in the tackle.
Well, perhaps the Scotland attack doesn't quite have the same pace of the Irish attack, but it doesn't lack anything in power and commitment. Kelly Brown is back on. He's been mopped up. Alan McDonald, whose brief cameo is over, he'll probably appear later, and he's played well in the couple of minutes he's been on. And Brian O'Driscoll, that too, sadly, is a familiar sight. He takes so many knocks. Has taken so many bashes in his long and illustrious career. Today, his 101st cap. And his task now is to organise this Irish defence. Scottish scrum, 10 metres from the try line.
Too far. Up. I want you in, I want to speak again. On your own board, I want you in, okay? Yeah. So that's good.
Big test for Hayes and Rory Best and Cian Healy.
Touch. Forward.
Free kick to Scotland. The early hit from Ireland again. And next time it'll be a full-on penalty, says Jonathan Kaplan. Scotland up for the scrum again.
Crouch. Touch. Forward. Wind up here.
Jonathan Kaplan says bind up, and then Scotland get a bit of a drive on. They will have the scrum again, and they certainly seem to have a bit of an edge.
Very much so. Ireland's apprehension at scrum time. John Hayes really keen to get a really good step and get on top of Alan Jacobson early on, and just doing it a little bit too early. Kaplan's noticing that, and at the moment he sees the Scottish scrum as the upper hand, and that's the way he's likely to referee it from here on, because they have got the upper hand.
Well, it's a fascinating encounter between Alan Jacobson, 5'10" tall, 5'10" wide, against John Hayes, 6'3", 6'4".
Good. Find up one.
And again it goes down. What will Jonathan Kaplan do?
And again.
He says we will have it again.
That's
Just
fine, I
under
can see it.
5 minutes to go.
I can see it.
A point Scotland's lead. How they would dearly love
Coming closer.
something more to take into the break. Alan Jacobson
Yeah, no, I can
sporting a
see
few
the
wounds.
In closer. Real close. Real close. Crouch. Touch. Pause. Go.
Again, Jonathan Kaplan just making sure that scrum stays up. It's threatening to go down. Scotland want to march it on. Johnny Beattie holds, use it, and Scotland do. Dan Parks. Eventually the run comes in from Sean Lamont. Parks again, and Alistair Kellogg, 6'8", the Glasgow captain, drives on with a little help.
Release green.
A boot has been lost. Scotland once more. Jim Hamilton, but the giant is chopped down, and Scotland being punched back. Dan Parks again. Not too many options out wide. It's once more Lamont, and easily read by Ireland. And Ireland are breaking out of their own 22 in defence. Scottish penalty though.
That's why he's got to the ball, because you're lying there.
Well, that's a fair call. Donald O'Callaghan needed to move, or needed to be seen to make an effort to move away. If you're not seen to even to be trying to move away, you're going to run the danger. And Scotland will take this three-pointer, and a deserved lead in many respects to the break.
Ewan Murray puts back on his size 24 shoe, and Dan Parks will ready himself for another reasonably straightforward penalty attempt.
Right, I've spoken to them.
And again, 3 points will be gratefully taken if it does go over, but again, Scotland would want just that little bit more.
They would, but they'll be very, very happy going into half-time if they can go in the lead, because their confidence will grow. They'll get the confidence out of defence. They've made an impression on this Irish line-out as well, and that's going to stop Ireland playing if they can keep that up in the second half. Simple enough, straight through from Dan Parks. Scotland's lead is 4 points, just a couple of minutes remaining in this first half. Just seems to be a lack of intensity about Ireland so far. They started about their job, really looking to put wits on the ball with a lot of confidence. They got that early score, and the danger is they say, yeah, this is the way it's going to go, we're on top, and they've just taken their foot off the gas a little bit. Alan MacDonald is back on as a blood replacement once again for Kelly Brown. And Ireland's ball right in the centre of field. Here is a final attack from Ireland in this first half. Cian Healy.
That is over!
Sexton. A little bit of confusion. O'Driscoll carries it, but only sideways and then backwards with the Scottish tackles.
Play on.
Loose and gathered by Sexton, who's taken round the collar. Play on, says the referee.
On the shoulder line.
Tomas O'Leary. O'Driscoll plays scrum half, and Tommy Bowe and O'Connell.
Flat ball. Advantage. Blue.
Scottish ball. Turned over in the tackle, lost forward. The Custer asking how long. 40 seconds. Parks sends up the Gary Owen. On forward coming Carney, but Scotland's ball now. Then in Irish hands, a couple of knock-ons. Back they'll come for the Scottish scrum.
Scrum blue ball. Knock on.
And I think Jonathan Kaplan will make them play this before we see this half out.
Well, it was good play by Dan Parks. That was a good up and under. Rob Kearney having to come a long, long way from that. Got himself into the right position, but wasn't able to hold it. Now,
Go! Come on! Go!
back to Scotland's. That was a good challenge in the air by Graham Morrison. Back to Scotland's preferred set piece, the scrum. They'll be happy enough to get another go at this Irish scrum before half-time, just to exert a little bit more pressure. Who knows, and a penalty.
Crouch. Touch. Pause. Go. Find up.
Time is up. A final
Half back out.
assault from Scotland. Perhaps Johnny Beattie, try scorer, picks up and goes. Rossford takes a big hit and the hooker goes backwards. Parks on to Southwell, and Scotland with the final say. Long pass out to Morrison. The ball is loose again, now back with Scotland. John Barclay.
And roll here, roll, roll, roll. Let it come.
Custer again. He's manhandled. Still Scotland, still a little thoughtful attack. Southwell goes direct. Jim Hamilton, Scotland would be delighted if any infringement were to come here from Ireland. Deep it comes, Dan Parks, drop goal attempt. Good strike, and he's celebrating already, Dan Parks. And, well, Scotland have taken and claimed the points just before half-time, and their lead is 7 points. They've worked hard for it. Ireland have offered so much in attack, but this the final say of the half.
Yes, and much deserved. They got the scrum, real area of strength for them, created the opportunity. Ireland are on warning. They need to up their intensity in the second half, because Scotland, particularly in that last 20, started to win those contacts and a deserved lead on the board.
Ireland's Triple Crown hopes looking a little bit more tenuous than they did 40 minutes ago. 14-7 down at the break.